I've done quite a lot of Scriabin on the channel before, but this piece was requested by my Patreon sponsor DIFFUSION on the festival tier. So it's on the early side of Scriabin. You can still hear a lot of Chopin influence in very elegant waltzing, but there's also something more that flares up, a kind of hunger for exploring the modern world. And it shows up especially in a rhythmic tension between the left hand, who keeps the waltz time of 3 beats per bar and heavy first beat, and the right hand, who just plays equal 4 or 5 notes per bar instead. It's a substantial work. There's a waltz main theme that starts off the piece and returns 2 times throughout, with some adventurous episodes in between. So let's start with the first section. So allegro agevole is fast but easy and relaxed, and affabile is affable or pleasing. And then we have these polyrhythms right away. So 4 against 3 in ritardando as the upbeat is really a special feeling straight off the bat. And then we reach the bass and the top melody, and the tempo gets going. It's a lot happening in these bars. There's an inner voice here in the middle with these hairpins and amazing harmony. It's like striving for something. And it goes through the 9 to the flat 9, resolving to the 8. And then the melody is actually a suspension that wants to go here, but it's delayed, so it only resolves after the harmony is shifted as well. To this minor 7 chord. So now these polyrhythms, 5 against 3, tied over with the first beat. So the way I think about them is they're almost like a quarter note and 4 eighth notes. So that would be an even rhythm. Like that's the core idea, but this rhythm is meant to stretch it out to more unstable, like diffusion. So the melody eventually leads here and resolves to this super lush E flat major 7th chord, loungy. And then we get an exact repetition of the same material, but it's in another position harmonically. It's a little bit higher up, exactly a 5th higher up. So we're now, the first time it's actually A flat 7 as the root chord. It's supposed to be in A flat major, so it start off with a 7. It's making it not clear, which is the whole point of the music. But now it's in E flat 7, and that points to A flat. So it's gonna. That's why it feels nice when we resolve this second time, especially. Yeah, in the end it goes a little bit more uncertain. This kind of chromatic in-between chord. And resolving to A flat major 7. And the residue in the melody. And here starts the first small episode, which feels just like a natural continuation of the material. But it's something new. So it says sottovoce, soft voice, but it's a little bit more of an engine in the left hand, going deeper, even though it's soft. But then rubato, so completely free, like this super delicate dream waltz world, somehow nostalgic. A little bit crescendo and flaring up. Now we get basically the same thing again, but pushing even more. And it's always like this with Scriabin. It's too much to bear from within, so it needs to come out in a dramatic fashion. So now we get the inner voice with the chromatic quintuplets to raise the stakes. And the bass starts to expand with weird bass notes all of a sudden. It's actually just a tritone substitute, F flat or E, and then going to B flat, which is dominant pointing forward. To this, it grows into a really spectacular virtuosic cadenza. Going up and coming down. But it's just a dominant E flat with extensions, super lush. And so we had it the first time, it's like a small version. And the second time, it's the same thing, but one level up. Upgrade. But this turns into the transition back to a repeat of the main theme. And this sounds so much like a Chopin Nocturne in B major in Opus 62, like a big late nocturne. Exactly at a similar junction in the form, you have the repeat of the main theme. He does it with this extra trill. Scriabin, maybe it's just an allusion to this for a really short time, but anyway, it feels just like it. So anyway, here we get the repeat of the main theme, but now it's embellished. It's a lot of excited about life to have these delicate runs, quite a lot of Chopin feel to it, but it's the same material underneath. So let's have a listen, let's play through this section and also how it grows into the next episode of the piece. So this new section starts with these big and thick chords, forte and accents, but it says Brillante, which is a bit of a opposition, but I suppose it's like big chords but still with some grace to them. Well, they grow into these insane arpeggios. He hasn't even written out arpeggio for the last chord, but it's impossible to play. It says to play it with the left hand, because you can't reach this, so you have to roll it. And it's like this with Scriabin, it's pushing the borders of the beat from within the bars, and it turns into this thick fog of sound slowly welling out of the piano. That's my way of thinking. And again. It's kind of hard to square this with the Brillante, because it's a little bit deeper for me. It's also like a foreboding for the fifth piano sonata, which he writes later. It's a middle section in there where it feels like the same thing, but it's more atonal in that work. Okay, so after we've had this, now we get like an answer and a contrast, a little bit more light to as a counterweight. Like back to this dream nostalgic waltzing. Just this soul melody, exploring the melodic lines, amazing place to play, and it's not very difficult. Cheeky harmony here, but just getting going back. Long runway, just amazing. Resolving to A flat, so that's all good. But now so this is again a new section, some new material, but it's a really short part actually. Piazzevole carezendo means piazzevole agreeable and carezando caressingly. So we flip to a new key signature, A major. It's going from A flat to A. So it's like exploring a new harmonic room in the ballroom castle where we're waltzing and get this typical Scriabin sounding chord. It's actually an E13, like a jazz chord. But you have this voicing of, it feels in the right hand as a D major 7, flat 5. This openness to the sound, but with E in the bass. Well, it resolves very agreeably. Here, some chromatic to A. But like super elegant suspensions. Resolving again to A. Then F sharp resolves to B. And now this is like the same, starting on B. And resolving to E. It's kind of just going around here, and from here on we go straight back to the key signature of A flat major. So that's just a short detour there. And in this transition we get a really nice, this grand style of waltz, Viennese waltzing. This could almost be Strauss that comes here. Just super nice and back on the serious path. Didn't last for long. So here we get the repeat of these big chords, and it's actually an exact repetition of this section that we had before, the Brillante chords. So we get that for one more round. So this detour in A major, it's like a short section that's sandwiched between two parts of the big chords. Let's do the transition back again so we get some context. it's like he can't really decide if he's gonna write a serious waltz or if he's gonna write a parody of a waltz. It doesn't really matter, we can enjoy the music so much anyways. So this is the big build up to the final return of the main theme to close the piece. And we get a pedal point on E flat. And start to try some chords, push, and the melody is pushing upward all the time. And we find this B flat 7 with E flat as pedal point. Classic. And 2, 3, 4 times to consolidate the building and finally reach this fortissimo. It's lovely. Again, like a serious grand style Viennese waltz. E flat 9, just the open 9 chord. And yeah, we insert this typical Scriabin feature, like the most significant Scriabin feature of this. Left hand, dotted rhythm, ba-bam, fanfare. It's so common in his music, like the start of the second sonata, the start of the third sonata, they both start in this way. It's not easy to play. And we get these dotted march rhythms a lot here. Registers expand upward and downwards. And we get the same thing a second time, and then we start to push even more chromatically. So it's growing from A natural and B flat, B natural, C, and then reaching all the way up with the octave. And it's just more tense chromatic chords all the time. And from this point, we get a final consolidation of the march rhythms. It's a E flat 7, and just again a lot of chromatic passing chords. And the melody comes down, and it's an amazing final build up to the return of the main theme. And here we get. So it's the main theme, but now it's in octaves, just to make it harder, but more expressive also. It's also a very cool type of variation where suddenly we get equal eighth notes in the middle of this march bonanza. So wrong notes there, but anyway. Okay, I haven't taken this up to performance standards, so maybe I'll play a little bit slower, but it's exactly the same melody, just, yeah, octaves in both hands. This is a fun detail. You actually get to play the highest note on the piano. It's very rare. I don't think I've ever played it in a piece before, actually, unless it was some weird modern experimental. But here it's in a melodic context. It's a valid melodic context because it's just an octave of, like, this is the main note, and it's decorated with an octave. approaching the end of the section. And here starts a coda to the piece. It just grows gradually, but it's pianissimo, sottovoce, soft voice, and it's really making it even more crazy. It's a harmonic limb it's going out on. Like exploring yet a new room. It's like the annex to this ballroom castle. And polyrhythms again, now it's flipped, so 4 in the left hand. Going to A major, maybe. But finds its way back to A flat. We get a repetition of this, exactly the same, this little bit. Piano pianissimo, a little bit softer, if it's possible, maybe on a coda. And pause. It's like, not sure what's come, so take some time to think. And then we get the second part of the coda, which is actually finishing the piece. And this is part of the main theme, but it's transformed. So presto, pianissimo. So it's just like swirling in the air and starting to travel to another planet or another dimension, Scriabin style. Of course, it's more decorated with this. It's almost like trills. I think of it, these two notes as one trill. Not really, because it's so quick anyways, it's really hard to do. And a final statement of this quadruplet motif on the main theme. It's imitating in the two hands, like the two waltzing dancers. And again. And just another chord you have to roll, but ending in A flat major. It's kind of interesting ending. Like, you could think this was the ending, but it's like an extra, like a beat still. It keeps going a little bit. And just one quote to finish this video. So I found some program notes online about this piece by Donald Gislason, and he summarizes this piece very well, I think, when he says, "Whatever champagne these waltzers are sipping, chances are it was spiked." And that's the typical Scriabin music for you.